Today on History at Home, we have something very special for this channel. Today we are going to be restoring an ancient coin from Egypt. This coin was minted thousands of years ago by the Greco-Egyptian Ptolemaic Dynasty and buried for hundreds and hundreds of years. And now today, you get to come along with me as I uncover the history behind this coin. This video is a little bit of an experiment because I've seen a lot of comments from people asking to see kind of the full cleaning process instead of what I've done in the past, which is kind of speed up the footage. So let me know how you like this longer form video down in the comments below. I really appreciate all the feedback everyone's been giving me on these videos. I'm trying to make them better. And by the way, all the music in this video was so graciously provided by Farya Faraji. Farya is a YouTuber who's dedicated to making historically based music. Thank you to Farya. Go check him out, go show him some love. If you like history, you're gonna love his channel. Okay, let's take a look at this coin. So before we jump in and start to clean, let's look at the current state of the coin and kind of assess the best way to move forward here. Now, besides the basic information, this coin is a total mystery to me. What I do know is that this is a coin of the Ptolemaic Dynasty. It is a bronze coin, a rather large bronze coin, and it was most likely minted in Alexandria, but not totally sure on that one yet. We will figure out where it was minted after we actually restore it. What I can make out on the obverse, though, is a right-facing bust of Hercules. You can see his nose, his brow, this is where his eye would be, down to the beard, the bottom of the bust, and then some of his curly locks of hair here. Then moving over to the reverse of the coin, we can see a left-facing eagle. The eagle is normally grasping a thunderbolt in its feet, and in the middle of both sides, we have these holes. And these holes are kind of a mystery. We'll get into these a little bit later in the video, but you can see some of the damage that's already on this coin. There's a huge dent here, and also another one coming across here. You can make out that there's a lot of scratches on this coin. It was probably very well circulated before it was buried. Just like coins today scratch up and wear down, this coin had that same treatment. So what I think we're gonna find on the surface is a pretty scratched up patina. It looks like it's pretty intact, meaning there's no corrosion that's actually eating away at the base metal, but we do have some pre-existing damage that I'm gonna have to watch out for because I don't want to make these cracks worse. Now that we know kind of what we're working with, let's talk about how we're gonna approach the cleaning here. Now, there's a bunch of ways to restore a coin, methods that can remove all of the sediment. And in the past, I've done that, such as the Constantine cleaning I did last year. However, there's another method which I've been wanting to experiment with for a long time now, and that's a slightly more artistic and minimalistic approach to cleaning a coin. And that is only removing the dirt where the details of the coin show. By leaving some of the original dirt and sediment in the fields of the coin around the design, we can pop the contrast of that design and make it that much more dramatic. And especially for a coin that's been circulated as much as this one, where the details are probably going to be a little bit more muted, I think this method will not only make it more beautiful once it's done, but also bring out the details so much more than if I were to remove all the dirt. Alright, that's enough briefing. Let's get into the actual cleaning. So working on an Egyptian coin is kind of new for me. And because of that, I'm going to be using reference as I clean this coin. Here's a good example of a similar coin type in very good condition. You can see Zeus here, and then you can see the eagle here as well. So I will be referencing these examples very closely as I clean this coin to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So the first tool I'm going to be implementing is actually a hawthorn thorn. Someone recommended that I try using these thorns as a tool because apparently they have a reputation for being good at removing dirt without damaging the coin. And it wasn't long before I realized that this thorn is not really the tool for this job. The dirt on this coin has a patina of its own. This could be from a previous collector applying a layer of Renaissance wax or some sort of polish to the surface to make it look better, but this dirt is definitely not loose and it's making it difficult for the thorn to do anything. So the tool I'm going to try next is a cleaning pencil with a sandpaper tip essentially. It's almost like very compacted steel wool. So this has the effect of sort of brushing and scraping aside the dirt. So we're going to start on the obverse of the coin. Here we have a bust of Hercules, and that's going to be the first section I start to work on. So far this pencil has been very effective at just slowly removing the dirt. As you can see, I'm going to kind of take this layer by layer. I'm not fully removing the sediment in any place quite yet, just because I want to be able to get a larger picture before I start honing in and removing more.
Sognos estimemus assis. Sole socchiedere et ridire possu. Nobis, cum seme loccidit brevis lux, nox es perpetuum dormienda. Dami vassia mille de indecentum, in mille altera de in secunda centum, en eusque altera mille de indecentum, de in cum milia multa fecerimus, contu urbabimus illa nesciamus, aut nequis malus imidere possit, tantum sciat esse passiorum.
It's time that we talk about this large circular hole in the middle of this coin. This is present on both sides and seems very uniform. It's also quite large, and the inside does have a patina on it. So, what are these holes? Is this the result of damage or defacing? Is it a countermark? Well, the truth is, no one actually knows. Most Ptolemaic bronze coins have depressions like this, and it's one of the biggest mysteries about these coins. The main theory is that these holes were created as part of the minting process, specifically in the preparation of the flan. Now, the flan is the actual piece of metal that would have to be made before they actually struck it with the dies and gave it the design. These flans required manufacturing, and there's a lot of different types of flans, but Ptolemaic and specifically Alexandrian coins have a very unique character to their flans. They're large, they're chunky, but still, even then, we're not sure exactly when in the process these holes would have been made. The two main theories there are that, one, these are depressions created by a lathe that the blank was screwed onto in order to smooth down the edge prior to striking. There is evidence of this lathing process in that some weakly struck coins have been found to bear what we think are lathe turning marks. The other theory is that right before striking, they would take the blank with pincer tongs and place it into a forge, getting the metal soft before striking. There's some evidence for this because on some double dimpled coins, the dimples are asymmetric. In a lathe, you most likely would not see this asymmetry. There's also been experimental archaeology done that shows that when you're striking large bronze coins, you have to reheat them prior to striking because striking a cold blank was found to not bring out the level of detail that we find on ancient bronzes. I've even seen theories that these holes were made by a rounded pin mounted on the inside of the die, which means that they would have been created during the time the coin was stamped. It's really fun to think about why these dimples exist. If you have any ideas or theories, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I'd love to read more about this. So after a good deal of work with the cleaning pencil here on the obverse of the coin, I'm really starting to reveal most of Hercules' head, and I'm going to leave it for now where it is and move on to the reverse of the coin. Again, I want to just do a first pass, and then I'll go back into each side and get more detailed with finer tools. So flipping this around, you can see that there's a little bit of a clearance already on where the eagle is on this design. So I'm going to start there and start removing some of the sediment that's built up on the eagle here. And here we're moving down to part of the tail of the eagle. Now, there's a pretty fine lattice work that is actually on the underside of the tail, and I'm gonna not touch that yet because I don't really have a fine enough tool to do that work well. But for the most part, just small motions with this pencil is enough to just take off, the dirt layer by layer here. And that's really what I'm going for. I'm not trying to go all the way down to the patina for the most part. I'm just trying to take off most of the dirt. So I'm gonna start removing some dirt from the beak of the eagle, and I gotta be careful here because I don't want to screw this one up. The beak here is super important for the whole silhouette of the bird coming together and looking powerful and scary like the actual engraver wanted it to. So I really want to just take it slow on the beak here. I'm not going to remove all the sediment, I'm just going to start to reveal the shape layer by layer so I don't over clean. I'm going to stop there for now and move on to what I believe is the Club of Hercules. So here's the part that I've been most nervous about, which is starting on the actual legend of the coin. You can see that it says king right here in Greek. You can see the B and the A starting that word. So I'm starting on the B, and the thing about these letters is I've never actually cleaned a coin with Greek letters before. So I'm going to be using my reference especially closely for this part. Now, one issue with these letters is that this part of the coin is either weakly struck or has just been worn down so that there isn't a very high relief on these letters. But the fact that there's a lot of sediment evenly coating where the letters are means that if I can combine my reference with a little bit of an artistic eye, I should be able to actually punch out the letters from the sediment in places where they wouldn't normally be sticking out. I hope that makes sense, but I think once you see what I'm talking about, it will. And then we're going to the other side here, and I'm going to start removing some dirt on the letters I can plainly see, kind of going for the easiest parts first. Because again, if I can remove the dirt on the easy parts that I'm sure about, then it starts to reveal some of the parts that I'm not sure about, and I just follow the trail of breadcrumbs. Okay, I think that's enough on the legend for now. I'm going to flip this coin back over and we're going to take out our needle tip and start working on a finer detail pass on the obverse side of the coin. You can see that most of Hercules' head has been revealed, but there's still some dirt and sediment kind of caked on. Since the material of this needle tip is harder than the actual surface of the coin, I'm being extra careful not to put too much pressure downward onto the surface of the coin. Instead, I'm trying to do small side-by-side motions and push the dirt sideways away off the surface of the coin. Alright, I'm going to call it there for now, and we're going to flip around and start on a fine detail pass of the reverse of the coin. And we'll begin with just trying to clean up the actual body of the eagle and the neck and the beak. And then we'll move down to the tail and the wings, and then get into the club and the legend. Okay, so here's a part that's kind of critical to the cleaning of this coin, which is the lower tail of this eagle design. As you can see on other examples, there's a pretty fine lattice work here that kind of represents the fine feathering and pattern of that part of the tail of this eagle. So to make sure I'm hitting the details correctly, I'm going to go back to my steel pencil and just take off a base layer over the whole tail area. This will allow me to start seeing more where the lattice work is, so that I can now get in there with my needle tip and start etching out the pattern. I really want to take my time here and be careful so that I keep a little bit of dirt inside each little square. This will make the pattern pop. can really see the pattern now coming to life as I kind of work my way along the high points of the design here, just clearing that dirt off and revealing one of the most artistically detailed parts of this engraving. So as I start in on my finer detail pass on the legend here, I think it's a good opportunity for me to tell you a little bit about the people who minted this coin. So the Ptolemaic Dynasty was first established by Ptolemy I Soter, who was one of Alexander the Great's trusted generals. And what happened after Alexander passed away was all of his generals split off into these splinter kingdoms, all kind of vying for power. And there's a whole series of wars that came from this. So Ptolemy, who was one of Alexander's closest companions, he was able to seize control of Egypt. And his dynasty would rule Egypt for nearly 3 centuries, all the way up until the death of Cleopatra VII in 30 BC. Now, the Ptolemies were of Macedonian Greek descent, but as the ruling class, they adopted many Egyptian traditions, all to present themselves as the legitimate heirs to the ancient pharaohs. They fostered this blend of Greek and Egyptian culture, and they did bring strong administrative knowledge, as well as expanding trade networks and supporting arts and sciences. One of the most famous Ptolemaic rulers, as I mentioned before, is Cleopatra VII, who famously aligned herself with Julius Caesar and then Mark Antony, and she would be the last Ptolemaic ruler, as the civil war came to an end when Mark Antony was defeated by the forces of Octavian. This defeat marked the end of the dynasty and the beginning of Roman rule in Egypt. So as you can see, I'm going in and starting to really clean up what is a club motif here in the left field of the coin. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about this club because it is imagery that you see all across ancient coinage. So this is the Club of Hercules, or Heracles in Greek. And there's several reasons that you see this club. The club stands for strength and power. You know, Hercules was celebrated for his immense strength, and the club was his signature weapon, so it symbolized the power of Hercules and his ability to overcome challenges. This club was a way to invoke these Herculean qualities and associate the ruler who minted the coin with Hercules. Also, this club brought with it the symbol of protection. Seeing a club like this on a coin may have conveyed this idea of this ruler is safeguarding his or her state and its citizens, you know, invoking the sense of security and legitimacy against adversaries. Okay, so we are getting close to being done here. I'm just going to go and do a kind of final detail pass just on some small parts of the coin here, and then we're going to do a final cleanup, and then we're pretty much done. The next step I'm going to do here is take this coin, wipe it down, getting off any, remaining loose particles of dirt, and then we're going to go outside and I'm going to apply Renaissance wax to this coin. And once I put a couple layers on here and polish it with a soft cloth, it should give the coin a beautiful shine and really bring out the full contrast. It's always super satisfying seeing what a coin looks like afterwards because it just has this gem-like polished quality that you don't really see when you're in the process of cleaning it. Aside from looking really nice, the Renaissance wax actually protects this coin from the elements, such as, grease from your fingers as you handle a coin. And as you can see, now that this thing is cleaned up, it just looks beautiful. You know, it was my first time ever cleaning a Ptolemaic coin. I learned a lot, and I think, you know, next time I have a chance to do this, it's only going to turn out better. But overall, I'm super happy with the high contrast look that I got here. Holding an artifact like this really makes you, spin off into wondering whose hands this passed through. What did it buy? Was it everyday things? Was it food for a family? Was it payment for a soldier? But there are some things that I can find out for certain, such as which ruler minted this coin and where was it minted? That'll tell us at least a little bit about this coin's actual story. And with just a little bit of research online, I was able to narrow it down, and I'm almost certain that this is a bronze obol of Ptolemy III. And I can be almost certain that this coin was struck in Phoenicia at the mint in Tyre, anywhere from 247 to 220 BC. On the obverse, we have a diademed head of Zeus Ammon, and on the reverse, we see an eagle facing left, standing on a thunderbolt, its wings closed. In front of it is a Club of Hercules. The legend reads from left to right and says Ptolemy Basileus, which means King Ptolemy. When viewed altogether as a symbol, this coin represents the power that Ptolemy held over his subjects and his state. Cleaning up this coin of Ptolemy III has been a really eye-opening experience, and I can't wait to work on another Ptolemaic coin in the future. I actually have another one that I've been waiting to get started on, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that when I put it out. These videos do take me a while to make, but I assure you I'm working on ways to share more of that history with you in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.